She withdrew all her savings from the bank, then walked into her boss's office. She intended to do something that everyone dreams of, fire her own boss. But before she could say a word, her boss picked up the phone, showing her no respect at all. Only after the boss finished the call did he ask her what she wanted.
That's a $400 phone.
After doing this, Georgia felt an unprecedented sense of relief. However, she had more important things to do. There was no time to waste here. After all, a large sum of money was waiting for her to splurge on. Georgia was a salesperson at a department store, mainly responsible for promoting kitchenware. Despite always being the best salesperson in the department store, her salary had not increased in the past 10 years, and her boss always blamed her for not doing enough. She knew this was the boss's manipulation tactic, but trapped by a life of poverty, she had to swallow her pride. She lived frugally, having to collect a pile of coupons before going to the supermarket each time. Her only hobby was watching food shows and learning to cook along with them. However, due to her desire to lose weight, she mostly let the boy from the neighborhood taste her meals while she ate tasteless kales alone. Like every woman, Georgia also had a crush. He was also a salesperson at the mall. Every time she saw her crush, her heart couldn't help but race. In order to have more conversations with her crush, Georgia would wander around the area where Sean was responsible. If caught, she would pretend to be there to buy something. As a result, her home was now filled with no space for any furniture. Georgia had a dream book containing the food she wanted to eat, places she wanted to visit, and a collage of wedding photos with her crush. But all of these just seemed like far-fetched fantasies. One day, Sean suddenly found Georgia. To thank her for taking care of his business, Sean invited Georgia to watch a game together. Georgia was overjoyed and lost her grip on the cutlery in her hand. As they both bent down to pick it up, Georgia was hit by the cabinet and fainted on the spot. Sean hurriedly carried her to the hospital. Georgia was taken to the MRI room, and her results shocked the doctor. The doctor immediately conducted a second test, but the results of both tests were consistent. Georgia was diagnosed with Lampington's disease, a fatal illness. The hospital director regretfully informed her that she only had 3 weeks left to live.
What? I got 3 weeks to live? Are you shitting me?
4 on the outside. I'm sorry.
You're sorry? Well, I'm sorry. I can't accept that.
Like everyone else, Georgia found it hard to accept. What was even more difficult to accept was that the insurance company refused to cover the $340,000 surgery cost. Just as Georgia was about to argue, the staff pulled out 2 thick policy books, clearly stating that her disease was not covered. Georgia left, feeling despondent. She was deeply unwilling to accept it. She had not yet lived a meaningful life, and now she only had 2 weeks to live? The thought of all the food she hadn't tasted and the beautiful sights she hadn't seen made her tears flow uncontrollably. However, the next day, she suddenly had a realization. Instead of spending her life savings on surgery, she decided it was better to spend all that money extravagantly and truly live for herself. So she went to the bank and, amidst the astonished look of the teller, withdrew all her savings. Then Georgia stormed into her boss's office and smashed her boss's phone before resigning. Sean thought Georgia was still feeling unwell due to their previous collision and followed her to apologize, hoping to make amends. Georgia never blamed Sean, but with her limited time left, she didn't want to waste time on relationship. Even if she expressed her feelings for Sean, it wouldn't change the fact that her time was running out. That night, she decisively bought a ticket to Czechia and embarked on her first and final journey in life. On the plane, the man in front of her kept adjusting his seat, almost sitting on Georgia's lap. They jostled for space, but the man ended up complaining to the flight attendant first. In the past, Georgia might have just endured such a situation, but now she had no intention of swallowing her anger. When the flight attendant came to mediate, she boldly spoke out her feelings.
This greedy airline put all these seats so close together just so they can make more money. All right? Now, I'm not flying all the way to Prague with some stranger in my lap.
Other passengers nodded in agreement. At that moment, the flight attendant said,
Had you chose to fly first class instead of economy, you would have had plenty of room in one of our cocoons.
How much is it?
Beg your pardon?
How much for the damn cocoon?
Georgia upgraded to first class, where the flight attendant's attitude was completely changed. Not only she had a fresh roast chicken, but also uncorked a bottle of champagne on the spot. As they say, the wealthy sure know how to savor life. Filled with delight, Georgia reached her destination. But the taxi line at the airport was daunting, so she directly rented a helicopter. The snowy landscapes of the winter wonderland unfolded before her, a beauty she had never seen before. The helicopter gracefully touched down on the rooftop of a lavish 5-star hotel. While accustomed to hosting social elites, the hotel staff couldn't help but be intrigued by the grand entrance. After all, the last time a helicopter landed there was when a member of a royal family arrived. Arriving at the hotel ahead of schedule, Georgia's room wasn't ready, leaving only the presidential suite at $4,000 per night. Georgia decided to live in the presidential suite without hesitation. The lobby manager swiftly greeted the distinguished guest, introducing her to the hotel's services. It was then that she spotted Matthew, the former chairman of the department store where she had once worked, vacationing there with his secretary. After the hotel porter helped Georgia with her luggage to the room, she pondered how much to tip. Being new to the world of wealth, she gave a few $1,000s to the porter, who was surprised by her generosity.
No, madam. Now, more reasonable.
After settling in, Georgia walked over to the window. To her surprise, the view from the presidential suite was breathtakingly beautiful. Realizing that this might be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, Georgia decided to fully embrace the luxury. She stepped into a high-end clothing store. She tried on one expensive outfit after another. If she liked it, she bought it. The world of the wealthy was always filled with imagination, even in matters of personal care. A massive hot stone massage left Georgia breathless. After experiencing the full treatment, she felt radiant. Next on her agenda was the dinner she had been eagerly anticipating. She had chosen this hotel because its head chef was her most admired culinary master. As soon as Georgia sat down, she drew the attention of everyone, including the chairman Matthew and a few senators in a private dining room. They were the true upper echelon of society, making special requests when ordering no butter, no wheat, no milk. The chef, upon seeing these demands, erupted in frustration.
No butter, no cream, no wheat, no dairy, no fat. Eh, merde! Why do they bother to eat? Next time, stick this in my neck.
But Georgia was different. She ordered all of the chef's signature dishes without any special requests. Seeing her order, the chef couldn't help but be thankful. There was still someone in the world who truly understood the beauty of the meals. Not only did he personally cook for this lady, but he also came out to meet Georgia in person. In a restaurant of this caliber, meeting the head chef was reserved for someone extraordinary. The people in the private dining room grew even more curious about Georgia's identity. Meanwhile, the secretary had learned from the front desk that Georgia was an American. Matthew's business instincts immediately led him to suspect that she was a corporate spy sent by a competitor to disrupt his collaboration with the senators. Moreover, it seemed like the senator was already enchanted by the mysterious Georgia. Georgia and the chef shared surprisingly similar views on food, and as their conversation grew livelier, the people in the dining room became even more intrigued by Georgia's identity. Once back in his room, Matthew instructed his secretary to continue investigating Georgia's background, determined to uncover which company had sent her.